It's about time. It's time to open the public hearing for questions and or comments for the purpose of allowing a variance of the cell tower ordinance for the building of a wireless communication tower to be built by Vertical Bridges LLC. I'm opening it up. Does anybody have any questions or want to bring any concerns about that tower at this point? You know, please come forward and give me your name and everything. Okay, any council have anything they want to bring up about it, or any questions of, you know, of, yes, sir?
No, I mean, I
Okay.
answer questions.
All right. Then nobody has stepped forward to give any comments or concerns about it. At that point, then, we will close the public hearing and move into our regular town council meeting. So, the first item is call to order. A quorum has been established. Everybody but Julie is here. Just make note of that. And if you'll stand, a quorum has been established. I'll ask Joe to give the invocation.
Please bow your heads. Lord, we are meeting today to conduct matters of business. Guide our hearts and our minds in the spirit of fairness, right thought, and speech. Impart your supreme wisdom upon our activities so that our affairs may reach a successful conclusion. Thank you for being our source of guidance today. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I guess the agenda is forward. We want to, I guess, entertain a motion to amend the agenda. We would like to add one item, and this would be a resolution to be able to go out for bids related to the ventilation system, and we can talk about what all is going on at that point. But at this point, you know, could I have a motion to adopt, a motion to amend the agenda for that?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. So the agenda,
Don't we need to adopt it as amended?
yeah.
I move to adopt the agenda as amended.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The next item is approval of minutes as submitted for the regular meeting, February 14th, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the first order of business is discussion making North Kenny a one-way street. We kind of looked at it, and we still haven't got back with Sister Sonia on it about, you know, her concerns. But irregardless, maybe we'll just do this in a two-step process. Is definitely turning North Kenny into a one-way street as requested by the citizens on that street, going from north to south, from Scott Street to DeVete Street. If, you know, is that acceptable for everybody?
I was thinking the opposite, from David heading north.
I don't know.
What do y'all think? That's what Miss Julie had.
Oh,
talked
she wanted
about.
the other way?
Yes, sir.
Wanted
No,
DeVete?
if it goes the other way, we can't do what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But it makes it a smooth.
Yeah, but Scott Street, what's happening right now, if we leave Scott, you want Scott Street a one-way too?
No, it's just.
No, I'm talking about what Julie wanted.
Right. Yes, sir.
See.
That's what she was talking about.
No. Well, first of all, the car wash, you're gonna have to go out. Fred, if somebody buys Fred's gonna have to be able to come out just one way, yeah. But, the church also would have to come out. I understand what you're talking about now.
Right. Yes, sir.
But they were saying about leaving Scott a two-way and just, Kenny.
Yes, sir. I think if we did the two-way on Scott, it would have to go north to south. But if we do the whole thing, we could go south to north from
From David.
David. Yes, sir.
It's y'all's call. I mean, I'm just putting it out there. I'm not sure. I'm comfortable with whatever the council would like to do on it.
Well, that's what they were saying, like this, you know, here's Scott, okay. Leave this a two-way where you'd have to come out this way.
Mhm.
I mean, this would be two-way, so the church can go either way.
Right, I see.
You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying? And then
Yeah,
this is the other way.
I see.
It's the-
and, you know, we can do it one way, either way, but the Scott Street would probably need to, you know, initially, let's keep it two-way because it allows egress and for, you know, movement to the church and those two businesses right now. And then if we find that's a problem, we can always go back and change
Right,
that.
that's, my vote is just, let's get the ball rolling, whatever way everybody thinks.
So y'all's preference then?
Y'all would have to, make a motion to introduce an ordinance to do.
Right, and that would be
And then, so
next month, correct?
Next month, what we could do next month, if you introduce the ordinance tonight, then we'd have the public hearing next time and then adopt, right, Mr. Bouquet? Or would you wanna wait and introduce the
I
ordinance?
think we should do it in 2 steps, it's an ordinance.
Okay, so wait and introduce the ordinance next month, and take another month.
So just, as we do it though, just for clarification, are y'all wanting it to go from south to north one way or from north to south?
Well, they asked, the people asked from north to south, is what I understand.
Well, that's why I was making sure it was,
I think so.
Yeah,
It's on the, what's on the petition?
yeah, it's on the petition,
Hey, yeah,
one
that's
way
right.
heading
Heading
south.
south.
yeah.
yeah,
Well, so we introduce it, and if they want us to
Well,
flip
that-
around, we can burn that bridge later.
yeah, and that's why I say this one will be to make Kenny one way. We will leave Scott Street until, if we find there's a problem or there's issues and that we have to make it one way also, we can do that later, you know, but at this
Well,
point.
I think the church should be advised that this is happening.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't wanna make sure I get their feedback,
Yeah,
but if we're gonna leave Scott two-way for right now,
yeah.
you know,
that's taken
I'll get
care
with
of now,
him.
Yeah,
And then I'll have an opportunity to talk with Sister Sonia in our next Lions Club meeting to find out, hey, do you have, you know, any concerns if we make it one-way street and get from them what it is, because I know one part of it will be the issue, like you were saying, the issue related to, the car wash, and if a business buys there, you know, it's gonna be very difficult if you know, if it's only one way going in.
yeah.
Right, but if it's, and I mean, it made sense what Miss Julie said. If it's, you know, you just enter from David, and then it's not an issue for Fred's or the car wash.
So, okay, all right, then I guess the first issues we'll get with Sister Sonia, and if you can give her,
You wanna do you're doing a resolution to introduce an ordinance, or what are we doing?
I think they just wanted to, introduce the ordinance next.
yeah, I just was wanting to get clarification of exactly
Okay,
what they're
that's
wanting
fine,
so
that's
that we
fine.
can put it together.
That's fine.
That's all I was asking for at this point, so. The next item on the agenda is request by Vertical Bridge 500 LLC for a wireless communication tower permit. This is a variance. What's y'all's desire on that? Okay,
I mean, yes vote.
make a motion then?
There would be a motion to grant the variance. I think we want to, I know that they sent a request, and they listed a number of items that they feel as though they can do under our ordinance, but there was a problem with our ordinance, something they could not do. And so the purpose is to grant a variance specifically to that request, is that correct? And that's in reference to the
Checking
the
with the-
notification of the
1,000-foot radius.
Yeah.
of the property.
Yeah.
And to accommodate that, that's why we did a special meeting tonight. And so we're waiving that particular item. Okay.
So then the motion is to waive that requirement for requesting, checking with individuals within 1,000-foot variance, 1,000-foot radius of the tower.
Yes.
And so that's
So moved.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It's a done deal.
May I ask a question? Now, is that a vote to
It's
pass?
a vote to pass, to permit you to proceed.
Okay.
You still have to follow all the other regulations, but
Right.
this one we've waived it.
Yeah. Can I?
Yeah, come on up here and just,
So, in other words, this is the vote to approve us zoning approval to build a cell
So
tower.
it's not exactly, but we're waiving one of the requirements.
Right.
Of our
you
Right.
still have to get the permits and, you know,
Right.
anything that's all that's still
Well, what we
required.
typically do when we get zoning approval, then we have to go get a building permit
Yeah.
Yes,
from
sir.
somewhere, which was my
Yes.
next question. Where do I get the building permit?
You will contact City Hall, and it will go through, they will do all the legwork for
Okay.
you. It will eventually go through the Calcasieu Parish, building permit office,
Oh, okay.
but it funnels through City
Yeah.
Hall.
So I start with City Hall.
Yes.
Yeah,
Anybody particular I should ask for? Just
As for Kim.
Kim?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
basically, we follow the same guidance and everything that the parish does, and they
Right.
handle it all. We're just kind of
Yeah.
facilitate it to make
Right.
sure we're.
That's what we
aware.
typically do. We get the local jurisdiction approval for the use of it, which is, I think, and then we go get the building permit process.
Yes, sir.
So, and also, just to let you know, I still made a commitment, and I will help you in revising
I
the
did
ordinance.
receive 2 ordinances.
Yes, St. Andrew Parish and the town of Hodge, because we just got through doing that one up there.
Okay.
Almost exactly like what y'all are doing. And so I helped them with their new ordinance.
Thank you. I did read them.
So, I mean, just keep my card, I'll be happy to, because I made that commitment, I'll still want to honor that, so. And I think once you kind of revise it a little bit, you'll be very happy going forward. So, anyway, just wanted to let y'all know that. Well, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Next item is presentation of site plan and request for variance approval of quadplex at 412-418 South Welty Street. Now, be aware that the only thing, I guess, we talked with legal, we talked with Mr. Bouquet. The only issue that the town has a concern with is you can't have, you know, the old complex and the quadplex on the same, I guess, the same area.
I think that you have an ordinance that, we have ordinance number 2019-07 that addresses a lot of this. We, as you know, as he was told, we do not have zoning, but it's designed it's designed to provide some of the function of zoning in a
Yes.
very simplified fashion. So it's a question of,
Basically,
basically, your ordinance provides, one dwelling per lot. And so this would be, if they wanted to do what they're asking for a variance in reference to that.
in other words,
We could get in splitting hairs about something. They're talking about, initially they submitted a plan of 5-unit apartments, I guess, one building. And then they said, no, they're asking for a quadruplex. Actually, our ordinance talks about one dwelling
yeah.
per lot.
And the part of this is you have the quadruplex on one side and you have the duplex on the other, and that's what the violations are. They,
Well,
you know,
yes.
that's the issue. You know, I mean, if they wanted to put a quadruplex on those areas, we really don't have anything, I understand, that we can,
I'm not
Prevent.
sure that that's correct. I know that we're thinking that's last month.
okay,
I'm going to say that your ordinance addresses, talks about dwelling as a definition as a single structure. Then it refers to residence. And it talks about dwelling and residence being synonymous. Actually, if you wanted to split hairs, you could say a quadruplex is actually 4 residences, because it has 4 addresses. I don't know, we did, the ordinance that we have really does not address the issue of apartments per se, quadruplex. But that's where we are right now.
okay.
But as a minimum, we're talking about no more than one dwelling. You know, what the meaning of dwelling is
Little broader.
could be looked at and debated on.
Okay.
But not more than one dwelling, clearly.
I guess the other question we had was, I know that the fire department may have had some concerns, and I don't see our fire chief here. Does anybody at the fire department, can they, I guess, espouse on any concerns that they may have related to the quadruplex?
The only thing I remember my chief discussing was maybe just limited access, fire truck wise, but, as far as the fire complex, we can handle it with our current equipment, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, they have a ladder. I mean, you know, how you gonna handle the school? the same way,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
No, but I wanted to give them an option, because
Yeah,
they
I
made
understand
mention, they made mention that they may had some concerns on it and wanted to bring up to the
Now,
council.
the only thing that I'm concerned about, we just gave Larry Toops a right to put a triplex on one lot.
We did that before, when did we do that?
Before this, 3 weeks ago. 3 months ago.
Yeah, 2-3
Well,
months.
then, that's an issue, I guess that we're gonna have to interpret.
And then I went
interpret it
around,
that way.
I have apartments too, okay, and I went around watching everybody else's apartments, and they didn't follow no ordinance.
That's fine.
On this case, though, with the idea of having it two sets, an older set and a new set, you know, I think that was part of the concern right there. You know, do we just wanna say, yeah, if you're going to put a quadruplex in and build it, that's fine, but then you still have to tear down or move the,
I don't know the answer. Obviously, if there was a quadruplex or apartment complex that was built before this ordinance, then in effect, that's, we can't stop. The question is, I guess it's debatable as to how much control we can do with this, but if you look at the language of the ordinance, and it explains why it's for, is to address congestion. And do we have a congestion? Maybe we need to look at the ordinance and address what we should do in reference to apartment, situations. But I'm just wanting to know that looking at this, and as it's written, it may not be 100% clear, but there would be a possibility to say that we're not permitting, the way the ordinance is written, that we're not preventing any new apartment complexes, any dwellings. And if dwelling means residence, then we've got, that would prohibit it, is what I'm saying. And we may not want to do that, but I'm just telling you, as it's written, it's not clear.
the question is, what does the council want to do
You
with
can, but
this?
one thing I want to make clear is, you can grant a variance. The ordinance specifically grants the council the authority to grant a variance as to this ordinance. So, and for example, if you wanted to grant a variance to put the quadruplex, you can clearly do that.
So what y'all's desire? I mean, that's really the question. I know there was some concerns about, and I'm just paraphrasing from the last time of having a quadruplex and the duplex. There was some concerns that people expressed at that point and would only, you know, and
Well,
so.
let me explain something here. It talks about dwelling and what is a dwelling. If it's all under one roof, maybe you could say that's a dwelling. But the fact is, if you have some pre-existing building and you add the quadruplex and they're on one lot, or they would be in violation, that would be clear.
So,
The way that it would be okay if it's a
Was that
quadruplex
duplex
and it's one single roof,
under
Yeah.
then maybe that's okay under our ordinance.
and they were talking
I would
about
just
they
tell you
wanted to
it's
refurbish it.
debatable. You know, a
Yes.
lot of things are. But if it's two separate buildings and they're on one lot or conjunctive, but part of it's on one lot, they would be involved.
Yeah, and
And they would definitely need the variance.
yeah, and the other thing was that there were those two buildings. I think the duplex was on the condemnation list. Isn't that correct? No, they weren't on.
No.
The two-story duplex was, and it's been torn down.
Okay,
Every property that's been torn down was on the list. The only one that wasn't was the one that's.
Okay. So I guess it comes back. What does the council desire? Do you want to give them a variance to allow them to have both the duplex and the quadruplex, or do you only want to allow them to put the quadruplex, or do you not want to let them do anything? That's.
They need to understand that they fall under all the other provisions about set-offs, et cetera, and all of that.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's where I guess I'm needing guidance from y'all as to what, you know, your constituents would want. I mean, if you know, against it all, that's okay. I mean, but I just need to know, you know, so we can try to go forward on it.
I'm gonna be a no vote.
For everything, or just
Correct.
the quadruplex, or, okay. Gerald?
No, I'm gonna go forward. I'd like for them to tear down the,
Okay, so you're just for the quadruplex and
Yeah.
let them, okay, that's, Vanessa?
No,
The both, okay, then Gerald.
I'm for it.
Okay, is this one of those that, I guess, hate to say this, is a tie vote that we would,
we would need a motion. to set the waiver as long as they tear down the duplex, right? Is
Yeah.
that what
Right,
you're doing?
right.
So a motion to allow the waiver as long as they tear down the duplex.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second.
All in
Take a
favor?
vote. Take a-
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Okay, now in this case, I know some things I can vote on and some things I can't. Is this one of those things? Or does it default till the next month when Julie would be here?
Honestly, I can't tell you for certain.
Huh?
I'd have to research that
I'd have
because
to
there are
research
certain
that.
things you can bring to time.
At this point, if it's all right with you, we'll defer this to next month with that same question, because then Julie will be here and, I don't know if I have the authority to
I think
cast.
you have the authority.
Well, I can make a vote, contingent on us confirming it.
We could, contingent,
On the
and then we can.
Whether I have it then, because I'd say
Cause
just
my
the.
problem, I'm gonna tell
on
you
the
why
quad-
I'm voting for it, okay? You could look at the pros and cons of it. It was, the stuff that was there was real bad, okay? This is a new deal, and I think it's gonna be nice,
Yeah.
okay?
At this point, my vote is gonna be for just the quadruplex. They would
Yeah.
have to still, they would still have to tear down the old thing. And then if we're really, I guess, adamant about that in the town going forward, I would propose that we need to put that verbiage in specifically so that we can address that because, I'm not trying to make new stuff. I'm just saying, hey, what exists and what have we allowed in the past? And I'm all for changing it for the needs as we do.
Right. In 20 years, if you have a trailer, what can the next owner do to that trailer? Relatively easily. They can remove it and they can start over. They can start over with a new trailer or a new brick and mortar home.
Right, that you have to meet.
But if you put an apartment complex, a quadplex, a duplex, whatever, what's going to happen in 20 years? You're still going to have that same thing. Will it be nice? Possibly. Will it be terrible? Quite possibly as well. And when you look throughout the town repeatedly at what happens to our duplexes and our quadplexes and our apartments, they do not maintain the standard that we spent all this time putting these ordinances for.
Well, I
So,
can't, I
vote
can't,
your conscience,
I can't,
but
I
I
know,
wanna be
I
clear.
have one across the street from me.
on,
And they've done
on my
it
logic.
on North Kenny, which I live, and but at this point, I think from a perspective, if you're going to spend the money, and I want to clarify that it's a solid construction. It's not a mobile home. It's not a manufactured home. My understanding is the owners here or the investors here.
Can I make a statement?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Kenneth Landry, 609 Fairview Street. In reference to what Councilman Hennigan said, the same thing just happened on my street, but in the reverse. So before we had apartment complex on the corner, and now due to Hurricane Rita, that one was demolished, and now I have 6 trailers on that corner where an apartment complex was. So
Well, and that,
we
and the thing, that's what I'm saying, is if, I wanna make sure, are they going to build a constructed home? A constructed, normal building, or is it going to be modular? Because that would definitely sway me. If you told me it's gonna be modular, I would go against it. If you're telling me you're gonna spend the money to do a proper constructed on a slab basis type thing, that cost is significantly more. So,
the main thing I want to say is the council needs to be consistent. If you're going to do it for one, you need to do it for all.
and so I guess the investor, are you on the quadruplex? Is your intent to put in a solid constructed building, or
Yes,
you're
sir.
going to do it
It'd
as a
be-
modular?
It would be a solid constructed building. It would not be modular. I'd also like to keep the duplex, bring it up. It's it's an older structure, but when we originally bought the property, I was under you know, I was told the property was grandfathered in, so the duplex, a trailer, a triplex, you know,
The
that the
thing
plans
is,
work.
the problem is the quadruplex that you're putting in violates it, and it's not there. So you don't, the only thing you can say that's grandfathered and you leave it and you can have the duplex, but you cannot put a quadruplex. And you're asking us to grant a waiver. The only thing we're agreeing to grant, if it goes on, is just strictly the quadruplex. We will not, we don't want to allow the duplex to exist. And the quadruplex, the only reason we're going to allow that is it is going to be a significant constructed building, you know, which is a lot more cost than a modular cost.
Yeah, so, but it'd be okay to keep the duplex and build a triplex.
No, that's what I'm saying. If you cannot build
Another structure.
another structure if you keep the duplex. The duplex has either got to go and you build a quadruplex, or you keep the duplex and you don't build a quadruplex. That's the only options that we're talking about at this point.
Okie dokie.
So, you know, are you still wanting to go forward on the quadruplex or not? Because that's what we're,
Yes, at this time, 100%. You know, I'd really like to keep the duplex in the mix. I think I could really bring the place up, you know. And let me ask you this, what about making it, the duplex a single-family home?
I think at this point, we're saying that it's a violation either way. And it's whether it's a duplex or a single-family home, if you're going to put a quadruplex on that area, that is the only thing that will be allowed on that.
So, just, again, I'm opposed to it.
Yes, sir.
But like Mr. Kenneth, I think is right about consistency. If it's one dwelling per deal and the duplex is on lot 13, then that would open up lot 11 to some other.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's my understanding, is that is all on one, the way that
That's
the
the way it's
quadruplex is.
subdivided or what
Well,
have you.
basically what you're dealing with, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to look at it, but I think we were looking at that there was a site plan that was presented.
Yes, sir.
And they were both going to be on more than one lot, is the way I understood it.
For sure.
So if that's the case, then that's in violation of the ordinance that we have.
Now we're welcome to withdraw it temporarily right now. We'll bring it back up again next month, you know, if you want to pursue some of this other. And I'm okay with that too, but that's, you know, right now, if we vote, the vote will be, it'll either be quadruplex with no duplex, or duplex with no quadruplex.
All right.
Or we can hold off and, you know, you're more than welcome to, you know, present, you know, to the two
So-
councilmen here that, you know, of what you might can relieve them of some of their concerns. I'm not saying they would, but I mean, it gives them at least the option to do that.
What could I do to make it an option? You know, with the layout of the land.
Compliance with the ordinance specifically says one dwelling per lot. You have two lots. And as it's drawn up, you're gonna have two dwellings on each, you're gonna have more than one dwelling on the lot. If you redraw your plans to where you just have one dwelling on one lot and one dwelling on another lot, now, we have to look at that very carefully, but that's would be where you could look and see what else you can do. I can't answer that question.
Okay. So I should be able to subdivide it,
No, sir, well,
you know,
no, you've got existing lots, you've got, I don't remember what they were.
so they had a really,
11 and 13, and I may be wrong, but my recollection was that as it was drawn, you were gonna have clearly two dwellings, and whatever, that's defined under your
Sure.
ordinance, on both lots. So if you could design it where you just have one dwelling on one lot and one dwelling on the other, then you need to look at that.
so previously they had a duplex, a triplex, and a double wide mobile home.
They were, sir, this ordinance, those buildings were built before this ordinance was adopted. So in that way, of being grandfathered in, that would be correct. But so grandfather it isn't something that lasts forever. Things change, like the hurricane dramatically changed a lot of things in some of these buildings that we demolished. So that's what we're looking at. And it's a very limited changing it and making adjustments to it, we have to make your changes and adjustments according to the existing. And I'm not here prepared to address that as to what would do that, because I'm not a construction person, I'm not an engineer, I haven't understand. I'm just telling you that from the standpoint of the ordinance, we'll make sure you're in compliance with the ordinance.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
If
I
you
think
need to have
resolution you
variance
can't, but you can.
For the quadruplex, the way I saw it, the way we looked at it, is council was,
Abstain.
as it was
Yeah.
planned, it was gonna need a variance. And that's why you're.
Yeah. The resolution you can't, resolution you can, but ordinance you can't. I thought that was what it was. Or it's the other way around. It's
And still have
Both.
offsets that
Okay.
are required.
so that may be.
Because there's other requirements just besides one
Okay.
dwelling per lot. There's so many feet in different directions, et cetera.
Correct.
If you come in compliance with all of that and can configure your buildings, whether it's one dwelling per lot and still meet all the other requirements, you might want to redraw
Yeah.
your plan. I don't know the answer.
And Mr. Bouquet, she just looked it up. I cannot, or I'm not allowed to cast the,
You're not killing, like, you can't cast.
no, so that becomes a mute thing. It'll have to go at this point. No action. We'll have to defer it till next month when everybody is here. So if that's, which I guess gets some clarification we can do.
It's an automatic deferment, or it's a no. There's not a
It's-
Well, no,
majority.
well, I'm not
Actually,
sure.
It's
It's a no?
a no. It's a
Okay.
no.
Okay,
There's
I didn't know.
There's
My
nothing to prevent
apologies.
it from coming up again. at a later
Okay.
date.
Right,
Then-
the motion is dead.
Yeah.
Then the motion is dead at this point. Of course, if you want to request that we add it back on, we'll go through that process. But at this point, then I stand corrected. 2 for, 2 against, that makes the motion not passed, and it's, okay. I just want to move on. I mean, it's something, so,
So it's a no-go on,
Right now, if you wanna redraw your plans.
I got you.
your plans, I can't answer those questions.
alright, so redraw, make sure everything's in compliance. Right now, y'all reviewed the, plans and there's something that's not
That's correct.
in
yeah.
compliance.
And also at this same point, I want to put on our agenda that we do need to address, I guess, concerns about what do we want to really do going forward as it relates to apartment complexes and things like that. Yeah, and I'm okay with whatever you desire to do. I'm just saying that this highlights an issue that we need to go ahead and get clarified as soon as possible, so that we're consistent going forward and doing what's wanted to be done.
Well, actually, I'm gonna go ahead and say something. The ordinance that was drafted, interestingly, is a simple enough ordinance, is trying to address some issues actually of zoning without going through the difficulties of zoning. And I've looked at it, and it's a pretty good ordinance, but that is something that we might want to clarify.
Maybe tweak it or
As to
modify.
the meaning of dwellings and residents, for sure.
Okay,
And then if we want to make a provision for quadruplexes.
so we need to define the meaning of dwellings and,
You have a definition of dwelling, you have a reference to residence, and it says it's synonymous with dwelling.
okay, so where we need the clarification though
And
is,
both of them. Both
Okay.
of them.
so we need to make sure we adjust the clarification of whatever the intent is for the
So
council.
maybe make an amendment to that ordinance and do some clarification.
Sure.
Alright, could I, request and know where, like, I was, where I was wrong, what I could have done better with the plans to make this pass?
Well, the clearest thing that I could say is, the job of science, and to see, is to whether you can draw the site that you have,
Uh-huh.
as to what you can do with it, to make sure that you have, right now we have a dwelling.
Correct.
Dwelling unit, and it can only be one dwelling.
You don't own it.
And one dwelling.
Right. Turn into a triplex.
So let's look at
Then you
that.
gonna vote no against that?
If you cross
mean,
over
first of
the
all,
lots,
This right here
two dwellings,
is only 50-foot
then
lots,
you're in
Yes, sir.
violation.
I got
Yeah.
you.
50-foot
Okay,
wide
okay.
in the middle.
That's it?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
105
Thank you.
foot wide instead of 100.
And like I say, we'll put that on for the clarification, so we make sure we don't get in there. Okay.
So what's that pretty much mean from here? it'll be on again for next month, or?
You can request it, and I'll check with the council to see if they want to put it on. We haven't done it, but that's what I'm saying. Just make a request.
Okay, thank you.
On this, voting deal, I'm against this, that he can't vote. And I understand what it is now, but I wanna see what we need to do. You can't keep on flipping things over.
Well, this one, she showed me the Lawson Act, and there's certain things that I can do and certain things I can't, and things related to.
It said that if Miss Julie would have been here and she would have abstained, he could have. But because there was an equal number, then he can't, because it's in the number of people present, not the, number of council members. I can show it to you.
Hey, I'm learning to go as I go
It's a
too.
little squirrely. It's a little bit squirrely.
Well, I think why
Well,
we're having a meeting
and-
right
and
now,
when
if we
I-
can't
when I-
decide
when
on
I-
something.
when I
We
originally.
decided no.
Yeah, he can't do nothing.
And,
We
and,
decided
and the
no
thing,
very
and the
clearly.
thing, and the thing is,
The law made
originally,
you decide.
when I originally read it,
No, sir.
Gave you
it
the
was either
okay.
the ordinance or
I was a no vote then,
resolution,
too.
you're not allowed to, but the other one you were, and I wasn't sure which one. I just remember that was, so. All right, we'll go ahead and move on. The next item is, Officer Crooks updates and reports on proposed condemnations, 410 Sherman Avenue.
Well, 410 Sherman was demolished today. They actually did.
Oh, okay.
That's the first half of today.
All right, then the next one is, 506 West First Street, because I'm assuming.
That's for the Fellowship Property Management. This is their third request to show up, and they're not showing up.
Okay, so this is a point, I guess we need to turn it over or sign a legal or somehow to,
I know they got the letters because they had a man go and do a bid for the demolition of the property, and he came to the police department to report the neighbor yelling at him. He was out there doing his. So
Well,
they know, they have the notice, and they attempted to hire somebody, but according to him, they attempted to hire him 6 months ago too.
what I would suggest is, it's up to the council as to whether they wish to proceed. Do we have sufficient notice to the landlord?
Yeah, they've gotten 3 certified letters since the
So what
start.
do we need? Do we need to put it, have we ever voted to demolish the property?
No.
So the appropriate action would be for a
motion.
I think we have to send another notice. Put a motion for item to be put on next month's agenda to take demolition of the property.
so,
And then we have to set it, can we set it for a hearing for next Monday?
I thought that this might have been for this time. This wasn't for this time, the hearing?
So the letter I sent, I did notate that this is your last notice, and if you do not respond or show up to the meeting, we will proceed.
so do we just need to make a motion to begin demolition?
Well, I think we need it on the agenda.
You know what, I remember, this building, I think y'all did vote for this one to be the actual hearing because it's
Yes.
it's so wide open, it's a dangerous building.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we did,
why did-
last
Well,
month.
I'm sorry, I don't remember.
Yeah, we voted on a couple of them and I think this might have been that one that we said that we would give them notice now officially, to come here, otherwise we'd start the condemnation, but I didn't know what the next step was then.
Do you have a copy of the letter that you sent him? So that Mr. Bouquet could review it to make sure that was, everything was done?
No, I'd have to go get it from my files.
Assuming the letter is correct and is valid, what would the next step be then? Is that where we would then put in an order for, because I know at some point it's gonna have to go through legal,
And
right?
he's the only owner, like?
It's
no other-
Fellowship Management Group, it's a company that owns it,
And he's the president?
I sent it to their business address, their business has it, their business has been notified, it doesn't have a specific person listed.
We'd have to look it up on, Secretary of State's website to see who the owners of the
Who's the
business.
registered where I'm a little bit confused, but if it's an association or corporation, I think there should be a registered agent, and make sure that we've done that. So let's proceed to put it on the agenda to take action to proceed with demolition at the next meeting. And we're going to check to make sure that our notice is correct, and they will have a response, and we're given a second chance, give them another chance to respond, but we're gonna send a letter and make sure it goes to the registered agent.
If they don't show up, then what do we need to do
Then what
next?
we do, then we proceed with demolition, because I think we have sufficient notice. We don't have an absentee owner that we can't contact, but we would have to appoint a curator. But I think here we don't have an absentee owner. So we have a known owner, and we just wanna make sure that the notice is correct, and then we can proceed with
Okay.
demolition.
Okay.
I will let you know, since the hurricanes, they have received notice for the grass and stuff, and they respond to those.
Okay, well, that's a
At-
factor. That's a
Whenever
factor.
we send it to the, when we send it to
So we
the,
put all of that together, but let's double check and see if there's a registered agent.
Is it an LLC or is it
Yes.
a corporation?
LLC.
Well, then,
LLC,
then we need to see,
if there's partners involved.
okay, we want to see who the registered agent is.
Okay.
And that'll, but you keep all of that file together, give it to, show it to me or give it to Cindy and we'll put it together. But we're gonna wanna go ahead and send out this letter to the registered agent. And we could even maybe put in the letter all the steps that we've taken and just build the record. If they're not gonna proceed with anything, then we're gonna have to proceed.
Yeah.
My guess is they're gonna show up and they're gonna wanna demolish it themselves instead of us doing it.
Yeah, but we can't keep pushing it off
Well,
on
we can't
this.
push it up, but if there's a registered agent, that's who we have to go with.
Okay, all right, then
But
we'll,
we don't have an absentee, you see. If we have an absentee or we have an unknown owner, you can't contact that, we have to appoint
Okay.
a curator.
well, no, I just wanna make sure we're doing the right thing and,
Yes,
and
sir.
because we really hadn't done much demolition. Most people have taken care of it before we've gotten far, and this may be our first one, and we wanna make sure we do it right, so. Okay, then, I guess, we'll put it on for next month, to do the steps that Mr. Bouquet has requested. Do I have to have a motion or anything, or just, we'll go ahead and do that at this point?
Put it on the agenda.
Okay. Then I guess the next item on the agenda, I'm gonna go ahead and so Walt can leave and he's here. We're gonna just move it around. We'll let Walt do his thing and then we'll talk about Cutlass areas. So if that's all right with you, Walt.
I appreciate that. Mine are easy. I don't think we're gonna have any problems. The first item I'd like to discuss is the North Store Drainage Project. We have pay request number 4 from McManus Construction, and it's our recommendation that pay request number 4 in the amount of $119,710.92 be considered for payment.
Where is it?
It's
Well, it's one is added, but he gave us the thing. It's here.
These came in late.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes,
Yeah, it's right here.
That's right.
Okay.
That's the ones that came in late.
So before we do it, do we need to
No, I
amend
think
the
we can
agenda?
put it, we can just put it
Yeah,
on
we don't need to,
here.
yeah.
It's part of his,
That's part of his,
Well,
report
so moved.
and updates.
okay. Okay, motion to pay, $119,710.92 to McManus. A motion to pay, a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
In the same vein, we have the Little Engineers estimate, number 4, in the amount of $3,824.93.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes.
This particular project is, all the materials are in the ground. We still have to do a little punch list stuff, but it's our recommendation that this job be considered as substantially complete so that we can begin the 45-day clear and lean period.
So I guess we need to advertise, a motion to advertise, is that what
A
you?
resolution to accept this substantially
Oh,
complete.
a resolution, okay.
And this,
That's on number 4.
right. I might be goofing. Is it North Store or South Store?
I call it North Store.
Yeah, it's North
Oh,
Store. Right?
I'm
It is
sorry,
now.
I
I'm
put
just-
S, I put South Store.
Yeah, it's
but
North
it's
Store.
I move to accept the North Store drainage project as substantially complete
And then advertise.
and,
for-
and advertised for the 45-day lien clearance period.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
The good news is, we had less problems on this job. We didn't have to use as many sewer conflict boxes or adjust as many water lines, et cetera. We had a lot of underruns. Actually, this project will underrun about 15% when we're at the end of
First
the day,
time.
so.
You
hey, how about
better
that,
hide
huh?
that in the pocket.
You like
That's,
that one?
strange, yeah.
Now, in this one, we have a Calcasieu Parish Police
Yes,
Trust Fund.
100, I think it's 109,000
Okay,
or
so
something that
we
they're
just-
gonna reimburse us for.
Do you
so-
need anything from us to request reimbursement, or have you been doing any
No,
of that?
I've been doing it all. I just, whenever it's gonna be complete and I have all of the, receipts,
Mhm.
I send it to them and then they send it.
This, we have the retainage, that would be due. Plus, when we do the punch list, we may have a little bit more stone or something to do, so the final will not be known
Till
until
next
45 days or such.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
let's try another one, see if I can mess it up. This is the Waterline Looping Project through City Park. We do have pay request number 1 for Blake D. Hines in the amount of $29,936.70. Recommend that for payment.
So move.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
As you can see, they're making a little mess in the backyard there for us.
Yeah, look, these are some pretty good sized lines too, huh?
Yeah, well, we hope so. We hope it helps us, we hope. Moving right along, we did receive bids, last Thursday, actually, when we had no electricity here in the building. That was kind of fun. For Southland Estates asphalt paving, we had, two bidders. We had one person that didn't bid. It's our recommendation that the lowest responsible bidder of RC Paving in the amount of $199,941.40 be approved.
So move.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
My estimate was $250,000 for this job. We got a real good price from RC Paving, so, the next bidder was $264,000, so RC did that our last work.
Yeah, when do you anticipate them starting work on that?
Well, we just awarded it tonight, so contracts probably take about 3 to 4 weeks. And then we could start after that if
Fantastic.
they falls in line. So they seem to be ready to go to work. So
Okay.
now we will go back and prepare the contract documents they have to get their performance bond and the payment
Yeah.
bond, et cetera, and all those kind of good things.
All right.
And last but not least, we have received bids on the wastewater pond project. This is the one that we're working through FEMA. In fact, we have a conference call tomorrow with FEMA again on this, on
Maybe.
other projects too.
Yeah.
But we had, thankfully, 2 bidders. We had 3 that had pulled out plans, so maybe we'll get funded or whatever. And it's our recommendation that the wastewater project be awarded to Spinks Construction in the amount of $1,689,999.99.
So move.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
The second bidder was about $200,000 more
Yeah.
than this one.
And
And
when do you anticipate them starting on that? Because that's probably going to be pretty significant work back there.
Here again, we can now, we'll confirm tomorrow that we can go ahead and enter contract documents and get those guys underfoot. I do know they have some materials to prepare and order, so when you have materials to get that, sometimes
Yeah.
you have to throw the curveball there to see when that can happen. But I hope that we can, within 2 to 3 months, be
Okay.
moving
The,
whatever.
the only reason I'm asking for that is because we're also working on our budget, and we're trying to get a cash flow determination along with projects and stuff, and trying to, get an idea of when the actual payments are going to be going through for,
Well, I'd say you better be ready in 90 days to pay something. And here again, I don't know how quick FEMA is gonna,
I'm assuming it's all gonna go out and then we'll get it.
yeah,
whenever
you'll have
it's
to,
all,
they'll have to
you know.
catch up, because they usually,
Okay.
I hope they're very generous and not a slow pay, but, and,
As far as, have you heard anything about the, road and drain project yet
no, I
with
haven't,
them?
no, I haven't. And I was thinking about that myself. I guess because of all the craziness that's still going on, and maybe they're, I don't know. But I had inquired in the past, and they hadn't proceeded with a package. And so
Okay.
as soon as you know, I'll know, I'm sure. So,
Okay.
but 'cause I guess there's always next time, or next phase, or next project.
All right.
So, and that concludes my report.
All right. Anybody got any questions for Walt? If not, we appreciate your time and effort coming in.
I appreciate being here. Good Lord continue to take good care of me. So,
Yeah, take care.
peace be with you.
Thank you, Walt.
Yes. Then we'll go back to the next item, is report on projects. Jeff couldn't make it, however, he does have a motion to pay request number 1 from K&J Development of Southwest Louisiana for $129,224.43 for public works, storage, and break room building. I guess you can see there's quite a bit of it going on, so.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? You opposed? Okay. The other one is,
You pick up the HVAC right there.
yeah, I'm fixing to go on that, because this is gonna take a little more time. This one was a quick one. I guess we amended the agenda, to talk about this. We found out our HVAC is 30 or 40 years old, and it's falling apart. This is an opportunity, we originally were looking at trying to get the grant for a LCDGB grant that fell through for failures on one of our providers. However, this does qualify for the American Rescue Plan Act, and we're looking at completely going in and replacing the 20 and 30-year-old pieces of equipment. And what I'm asking for is I guess, a motion to allow us to bid with not to exceed $170,000. I think Cudless is working on what that total cost will be. We don't know what it is. He thinks that we'll be able to use some of our ductworks, but definitely the ventilation, the heating, and the cooling equipment will definitely have to be replaced. And while we don't have an exact amount, we're going to have significant problems, and it's going a good possibility that it'll go out completely here in a short period of time when we start using it. So I guess I'm asking for, I want to say a blank check, because we know that but I do want to set a high limit on it, that we go out and bid and try to figure out what we can get. Now, of course, we will not sign anything until it's brought back to y'all. You know, we're just trying to get a jump start on trying to get an estimate of how much that replacement's going to cost. So I guess I'm asking for a motion to go ahead and send it out for bid to find out what kind of values we're talking about.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Yeah, we're not gonna do anything. I just wanna get that information so that next month you'll have information to be able to make a conscious decision on. Like I say, it's, when they went up there, they were shocked to find out how old some of the equipment
Well,
was,
the
and
heater isn't working in here at all.
and the air conditioning is,
He said that, he can't, he said he could try to get it to work by doing a few things to it. He'd have to replace the, compressor in one of them. And then, he said that this summer we will have a lot more issues
and the
with
thing
the air
is,
conditioning.
we could replace the upper unit, but there's a good possibility that that would eventually short out the other thing, so you would end up throwing money in, and it's like, if we're going to do it, and we do have the American Rescue Plan money that we have to justify anyway, that this would be a very good thing to go ahead and put it in for the COVID filtering and everything that we done, and just use that American Rescue Plan.
So it'll be very
funds.
more, it'll be much more efficient than it is now.
and it would meet the requirements, so. All right. The other thing is did talk with him about when they're going to put the bid out for the first field up here to try to get an idea of when it's going to be done. And you remember when he said that would probably be, that he would try to have that ready?
This year, but he didn't, I don't remember the date.
But I'm pushing him because that is an insurance that we want to collect on. You know, we're gonna get into trouble if it goes past August or September and being able to put that in. So I am pushing that. We have done some work for the ball field to help them have the ball field out there going on right now. Lights and things like that. Just want to make sure you're aware of that. That's the next item on the list for Cudla to be able to get that done. And of course, the other is, Julie's not here, but we need to start the design of those back two fields, because as soon as the water line is put in place, we can start that aspect of trying to figure out and trying to put in the two fields in the back that we talked about, at the back. So, all the drainage issues will have been addressed, all the bypass items will have been addressed. The only other thing, I guess, is new business along that. We talked about putting up a 4-foot or 3-foot little fence around the playground equipment, because we've had a lot of people talk about near misses with kids. And so, it's not gonna be very high, but we're just trying to keep them from running into the road. And so we're putting together a project, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 to put up that metal, I don't know what you call them, they're like 3 foot high, that's metal, so that they can't run through, just so we can funnel them and to keep them from running out into the road with traffic going around with everything. So I just want to make sure you're aware of that. The next item on the list, I guess, is Clayton. You want to give us an update on streets and what all the good things y'all doing out there?
Good evening.
Good evening.
All right, this past month, we filled some small potholes ourselves. We had the lights on the baseball field repaired, what could be repaired. We started mowing streets and shoulders and right-of-ways, helped install some water meters, replaced the tennis court nets. We've been running the street sweeper in some spots, and we did some repairs to the road around the sewer pump.
Yeah, as far as the lights are good on, also they got that fixed on the tennis courts. They got those lights.
Yes.
There was one that was
Yeah,
out.
there was two, yes.
We're back into everything looking good for on that tennis court stuff.
Yes.
So, okay. One of the things you may want to talk about, is Main Street. You're going to see a big difference in the lighting. We've signed an agreement with Energy to replace all the lights on Thompson with the LED, the brighter lights and everything. It'll be slightly more electricity costs, and we have some small nominal charges. We're also changing out in the park for those LED lights to establish a brighter area and everything. So you're going to be seeing that at the end of this month. Is that when you're doing?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I think that's what
So,
Kim had been talking about.
and the reason I say that is you may start getting people requested in your areas. We're okay. We'll take them on a request basis, to change them out, or we'll try to do some sort of plan, depending on how it looks. If it's too bright, people may complain that, hey, too bright. But I don't think that's going to be much of an issue at this point. So,
Okay, thank
thank
y'all.
you. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Clayton.
The next item, I guess, is T. You want to come up and give us a sewer department report and update?
Good evening.
Hey.
Since the last meeting, we conducted a camera job study with LRWA for the 200 block of South Sherman. We cleaned out the west pump at Pilot Lift Station and also installed the frame to raise the motor. We responded to a sewer complaint at 200 South Sherman that wasn't on our side. We did parts inventory for the first quarter of this year for the sewer department. And also, for a side note, I'd like to congratulate the boys Yellow Jacket basketball team this year. They made it to the quarterfinals for the first time since 1995, and they finished with a 27-5 record. And in the process, they gave Coach Malonzo a 700 career win and counting. And if you can, please get out and support the Yellow Jacket baseball, softball, and track and field teams.
Yeah, one of the things I know we talked about as part of our pre-budgeting process is we've got some issue with the lift stations back at behind Pilot and everything with the grease traps and things like that. I've authorized them to go ahead and put replacement pumps. They're called what do they call them?
Grinder pumps.
Grinder pumps in, because that will save on the long term of us having to rent and bring in vacuum trucks and pump out stuff like that. And, you know, from a long-term perspective, it'll keep our system in a better functioning mode. But those pumps are pretty expensive. I just want to make sure you're aware of them. They're about $25,000-$30,000 roughly for one of them. But it'll be offset because we're spending tens of thousands of dollars for vacuum pumps and cleaning out that kind of stuff. We're also looking at establishing a more aggressive grease trap monitoring and requirements of maybe on them. We're going to talk about maybe on heavy users that they have to, you know, do inspections every 6 months instead of once a year because of the heavy usage. But we're hoping that between both of these, we can really get a good handle on keeping us from having to replace these older pumps and, you know, the problems that are going along, which are like the hand wipes and stuff. It chops them up to be able to get them through. And I understand that that's, y'all pretty aggressively trying to get that in. And,
Yes, sir.
and we'll present something to y'all, you know, as far as cost and everything going forward. But I just want to make sure y'all were aware of it. So, thank you much. Okay, is Charles here for water? You want to give him an update for the water department and everything else?
Much to report on. They changed out several more meters. In fact, we're to a point of running out. We had to order some more. We ordered, I think, 33 more to come in. We had a couple of leaks that we had to fix. But other than that, we've just been working on meters and helping the sewer department and helping the streets. Everybody's working together as a team right now. Basically it.
Okay, right. And I guess there's one other issue, is a motion to approve the MW Municipal Water Pollution Prevention Environmental Audit Report for January 2021, December 2021, which is attached to this resolution.
Make a motion, we approve the MWPP resolution.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And the other thing that we are doing is we are putting lights, and I'm talking about you know, yellow and blue flashing lights on our vehicles, our public works vehicles, so that when they're assisting on the road or they're doing work on the road, you know, it's just kind of like caution lights. And we are putting in, we're going to have them put new decals on all the vehicles. Some of them are looking really bad, and I wanted to, you know, it's a reflection on the town, so they are replacing those this month also, just so that you're aware of it. Go ahead. Yes, sir.
That's good, they put in, proper lighting, that's a good thing for safety. Recommend Brent stands for reserve effective the 29th. I had hired him, and I don't know what happened, but somehow the paperwork got messed up, so I'm here requesting it.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you. Our stats, 391 summons and citations, 3 traffic accidents, 6 arrests, and 245 calls for service.
And I know
That's pretty
right now,
much.
we did get approved for the motorcycle grant, and we're just trying to get the documentation in place before we buy it, and that will be up and running hopefully within about a month and a half.
Good.
So that's in place, and, you know, as soon as that gets set up, I think Keith will get what he needs for back there. The other thing is, we are looking at talking with Gene Augustine's, you know, contacts and things like that about acquiring that land behind. I think we went out for some appraisals just to kind of help that along right now. And I think Keith is working with them closely on that.
With Blaine, they pretty much want an appraisal to see what the offer's gonna be. That's kinda where we're at with it. So,
And then,
get that done and we'll see what happens.
and I did notice that they're starting to work on that lot right next to the one we acquired too. They were cleaning it
Yes,
up
those
and
down.
trying to get it prepared too for whatever purposes.
So that'll look good if we can get all that cleaned up.
All right. Anything else you got?
That's all I got, guys. Thank y'all.
All right.
Thank you.
Fire department, reports and updates.
Good evening.
Sorry, Chief Coffey couldn't be here. He's at a conference for the Fire Chiefs Association. Stats for February, we only had 24 calls this month, 4 medicals, 5 deferred EMS calls, 1 crash in town, 1 crash on I-10, 3 fire alarms, 3 additional false alarms, 2 structure fires, 3 grass fires, 1 investigation, and 1 hazmat call. There's nothing really terribly pertinent to report.
Did they finally get the budget approved on the fire department?
Tomorrow night's our board meeting to finalize. We had a meeting last week, I believe, to
Okay.
give our initial, so it should be coming your way soon.
Okay. And then, appreciate it. Anybody got any questions? All right, then we move to the next thing, report of finances. You do have the updated financials you can look at. You can see we're still ahead on a number of things on the revenue side, or kind of flat on the expense side. The revenue side, we still think we're going to be better than normal. I'm just gonna go real quick through it. Property taxes, we should hit what we budgeted, but this is a low year because the parish gave a waiver and lowered everybody's property tax because of the hurricane. And so, with it being lowered, we're still gonna hit budget. That's good. That means next year we're gonna get quite a bit more. Sales tax, we're on I guess on a target to hit our budget next month, actually real close. So, we'll actually have 2.5 months above budget on that. Sales tax for the hotel occupancy, that's down, but that's because those hotels are closed and they're working on them. There's, that's just until they get back open, you're not gonna see much of that. Beer tax, you actually, that's half a year. You can figure about double, because the quarter is generally a quarter and a half behind, and then we'll do catch up at the end of the year, on an accrual basis. Same thing with the cable. Energy, I suspect will be, that's another case that we got through December. You can figure about double that. Energy prices have been very high. Everybody knows they've been paying quite a bit more for electricity. So you'll see that coming through. We'll more than exceed that. Intex gas, that's a hard one. We may not make budget on that one, or the telephone. That's just by the nature. But video poker is another one of those that we're going to probably get. We're getting about $25,000 a month from these truck stops, and we'll get them. Of course, July and August, we don't get anything at all because the state holds off till they get their max number. So, that's very positive. Occupational license, we're online. Insurance premiums, we should be seeing that come in fairly soon. It's usually the last quarter of the financial year that it all hits. I don't see any reason as to why it would be anything less than what we've had in the past. Intergovernmental funds, we're probably going to be a little shy on that, about 10 to 15,000. That's just by the nature of what all's going on. We did hit the big dollar amount. That's really came in December, but you recognize that when it's paid, we still have about 5 months, and that's usually about 15,000 a month, but we'll be short about 15,000 or so on that. Fines, we're starting to pick back up. Keith we had some issues with short, people sick and everything like that, and the number of tickets are coming back up, and so we anticipate that number coming up, but we won't be anywhere near, and we're going to budget it accordingly to what we've had in the last 2 years for going forward. But overall with the grant, the 30,000, that's he got from the state for paying for some of the vehicles. That was a state grant for hurricanes that they gave us that was not budgeted. So in general, basically, it looks like we're going to hit or exceed our budget. We won't have to do any amendment on that. On the expense side, you can see we're slightly above, but then we've got some one-time expenses that come in that skewered it, like the audit and accounting. You know, those are all paid once, but it's budgeted through the year. So that's really close. The same way the police department, you know, any of that you can kind of look at, and then you can look at that and just, you know, if you got any questions, please let me know. Sales tax one, I just want to kind of remind you that that's where we're running insurance claims, we're running FEMA money through, you know, and replacement of all of that. That's where some of those costs you'll see coming through on that. We just kind of, the American Rescue Plan, that's where we'll be. Another thing we are going to buy on the American Rescue Plan is we're getting software upgrades that's going to come through. We're going to do that in the next month or two. We're looking at Casale upgrade, and we're looking at another option because we want to have the controls in place and have the best modules so that we can not have to answer the questions we had in the past. But that cost hasn't come in. I will bring that to y'all, the council, at the appropriate time, and the explanations of what's going on. Parks, you know, sales tax is running all the way through on all of those. That's why the revenues are expenses. Capital outlay, we will be spending some for some equipment later on this current year. I don't know if we're going to spend quite as much as we've shown out of this month, because we do spend it out of two different places. We spend it out of sales tax, parks and streets. We also spend it out of sales tax 3. So there are really two different places, and we've not had anything to come out of this right now. Streets, y'all aware, we just approved something on the streets, which will take care of $200,000 of the additional street repairs. The 104 we've seen to date is potholes and other things that we've done, trying to catch our streets up to speed on that. And of course, our revenue is really good from sales tax, so I anticipate that to go. And then we'll go on all the way back to we'll go to the sewer and water, which is the other side. That's the one we're fixing to have the big expenditure of $1.6 million that we keep budgeting for the last 2 or 3 years. It's finally come to fruition. Hopefully some of that we'll get back from FEMA, but at this point we're assumed not. But we do have the cash and assets ready for it. You know, we're still a little below on our revenues. You know, we had a lot of disconnects and things like that, so we are a little behind on that revenue stream. Garbage and trash, we just upped it, so that one is probably going to be close to break even. And our sewer maintenance fees, you know, I'd like to say we have fewer people on them than pre-hurricane, and our budget was based on that type of number. So we're going to look at it, but then our expenses are fairly low too. So, you know, we're trying to make sure we monitor and we keep costs very low. At some point later on this year, in September, October, we'll come back and review after all the meters are in and try to rearrange the fee schedule. And what happens is we'll probably drop the base rate in anticipation of would capture it based on, you know, heavy users, you know, so that, you know, those that are income limited are, you know, we're trying to make it as easy as we can on them, you know, while people that do use it, they pay for what they use. So, you know, you're more than welcome. Anything you've got any specific questions on to get with Myrie, Cindy or myself, we'll find the questions to you for that. The only other item I want to bring up is we did have a meeting with all the department heads for budget purposes. We're going to meet, and I would like to try to meet with y'all sometime either in late March or early April before the next budget cycle. I'm letting them go together and putting down their wish list and everything, but from the council, I need, in your district, if there's anything specific that you need. Now, as far as streets go, we would have gotten Barkley on one. We're fixing to do this behind Steins. Budget purposes, we're looking at First Street, I guess, as needing it really bad, but I need to know if there's any other places, like any of the subdivisions or anything that has, you know, some areas that maybe we don't do a whole 4 or 5 block, but we maybe need to do 1 block. or if you've got drainage issues, or anything like that, or any kind of specialty need. I know, Daniel, we hadn't gotten together, but we talked about what are we gonna do about it, the community center. We talked about trying to get that and trying to set that up. And I wanna start putting some money in for architect fees and that type of stuff to start the design. Same thing with the ball fields and that type of stuff. I did ask them to put in 7% because the inflation is at least 7%, as you can tell. And while we may not be able to meet at maximum, as long as the revenue streams and everything is still being as strong as they are, you know, I told them to use that as the assumption. But I do want them cost savings anywhere we can find them, you know, to offset some of it. But I'm just letting you know, these are the assumptions that I gave them. We did talk about pipe bursting. There's some pipe bursting that we're gonna put in the budget, and we can go with it, but I wanna make sure if you have anything, you know, things like, you know, these street lights, we're trying to do. And we're also put in some money for some extended, Christmas lights, you know, to expand in what we done for Christmas and things like that. So I just wanna make sure you're aware, and we'll get with you with a specific date later on, once I get Keith's and everybody gets the feedback so that you can look at those numbers, and we'll sit down and meet and then say what else do we need to add, or what do we need to do to take in consideration of what you need, you know. 'Cause I know there's some things we talked about, like the older citizens that we paid extra. Do we want to do it again? You know, there's some other things that we done. You know, do we want to put in, you know, hire a company for plumbing and set up a master contract so that as we put in things and we have leaks, we can have that master plumbers go out and look and identify them for the customer where the leak is, and also have contract rates if that customer wants to use them, you know, maybe better than, cheaper than what they would get if they called somebody outright, but have them under contract, and we would use them too. I'm just trying to think how to help the citizens, you know, with our hands are tied to a certain extent, but there's certain things we can do to help out like that. So, other than that, we reached the end of the meeting. Anybody have any comments?
Okay, good.
Gerald? Anybody in the audience have anything they would like to bring forward to the council?
You have a little list. First thing I'd like to address is there's some electrical poles at the end of Fairview Street. At the end of the horseshoe there, some guy took out one pole, and it's the pole for the service to the pump station. There's a rope holding that that line up in the air.
Can you?
To a tree.
Okay. Hey, Pat, can you get with Energy and figure out who's responsible, see what we can do to fix on that?
You know if it's electrical or cable or what?
It's the power feed for your pump station. It's electrical.
On Fairview?
Across the ditch.
Across the canal.
Okay.
Yeah,
The Beanfield substation.
yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And so it took out that pole, and it looks like the pole on the corner of at the end of Second Street there.
Was it,
That
somebody
pole
had
was
an accident there? Or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was an accident there a couple months ago.
So, I mean, we probably need to look and go back against whoever had the accident, you know, as it may be some legal claims there too.
I guess they did, should've.
Anyway.
Full report.
Yeah, I know. Okay.
You'll know, have all the information.
The power pole is, the one at the end of First Street is cracked, so eventually it's gonna come down. It's
Yeah, just
it's,
get with Energy. Pat's the one to get with on that, so.
okay. Next thing is the trash on the side of the roads. Like, in particular, my wife pointed out that's at the Casey Hall, those apartments.
Yeah, well,
Over
they're
there.
starting to pick up now. He's been off for 2 weeks, and he's going through starting today or yesterday. He
Okay.
started picking up. We're talking about the one that we've contracted with. And so that's another one. Just if you ever, anytime you see that, if you'll just call Pat, he'll take care of it. If he doesn't, call call
Okay.
me and I'll make sure it does, but I feel very comfortable that he takes care of it, so.
So the next thing I got is the grass in the gully. Probably a good idea to spray that down before it gets too high.
That's parish.
Oh,
But,
parish.
but then we can still get with them, we'll get with, Clint. I guess he still handles that. We'll see if they can do with that. Hey, Pat, will you get with him on that, or I can call him too, you know, we'll see if he can do something to help us along.
So now that the drainage is complete on Stewart, the drainage project, I just paid that off. What about the drainage issue that we have on South Sherman?
Well, that's why I was asking, Walt, you know, whenever they have the next one, because, you know, in and of itself, we really can't afford that with the other things we're doing, but we're needing projects to put in that, and, you know, and I wanna make sure we get
That's
that
prime-
list and the
prime
council agree
candidate
to it,
there.
so.
So, and the last thing I have is a question
Where-
about the
Before you do it, where are the drainage locations, just so I can put it on there?
South Sherman.
Yeah, low spot.
Are y'all familiar with it then?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Down by the river.
Well, no, I just wanna make sure, so that when I talk about it, you know,
Yeah.
y'all know about it more than me, so, okay.
Yeah, because I get stuck, and my company, I cannot drive through high water with the company vehicle.
Okay. No, I just wanna make sure, you know, let's say that's, we put it on our list and get with the parish, and then if we can get FEMA money, whatever we can get, you know, I just wanna make sure we put it in our budget for the location and stuff.
Great. And last thing I got is, you had talked previous about a culvert project.
That's a Mr. Bouquet question. I'm still waiting an answer about as to what we need to request from the AG.
Okay, so it's still in the works.
Yeah. Yeah, right now, the AG ruled against it, and so,
Very limited what we can do. It's a nice idea, but I don't think we can do most.
Okay, great. That's it. Thank y'all.
sir. Anybody else have anything? If not, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Sorry, I didn't get.
You went over.